but there's a note of warning in his voice. He knows what I mean. He knows. Jenny, I say quietly, you call her by name. His eyes narrow. And why shouldn't I? His voice is frozen, and I know I should just shut up, but I won't. Why can you call her by name? I'm almost whispering by now. You will never call me Hermione, by accident. And even then, very rarely. Why are you so scared of giving me a name? I know that I'm skating on the thinnest of ice, but I have to know. The Weasleys may be scum, he says, his voice deadly quiet. But their blood, at least, is pure. Even muggles deserve some kind of title. But you... He sneers, running a disdainful gaze over me. God, glaze? Glazed donuts, what? Gaze over me. In what context does an abomination such as yourself deserve me? He whispers. I swallow hard, gulping down the tears that threaten to well up in my throat and into my eyes. Why was I expecting anything different from him after all this time? Will you ever stop seeing me as a mudblood and start seeing me as a human being? I ask quietly. A muscle in his jaw goes in his jaw. I'm balancing on the very edge of safety, and if I lose my footing, then it could lead into my oblivion. I know it. You do not warrant the title of human being. He says, his voice like a knife. All you are to me is a mudblood. You know that. I take a deep breath, trying to force down my hatred and my sadness. What good will they do me? But how can he still think like this? After everything that's happened, how can he still see me as a mudblood? As mudblood? After he called me Hermione and then kissed me and held me so tight I thought I'd never let go. Ever. How can that be the same man as the one I see before me? Swathed in black robes, as expression unwieldingly cold. When I see you, I say quietly, I should see a monster. But do you know what I see instead? I see you. I see Lucius Malfoy. He just looks at me. His expression is so strange. It's as if he doesn't want to hear what I'm saying, but he can't help but listen. What have I ever done to you to forfeit my position as a human being in your eyes? I ask. You have tortured me half to death. You murdered my parents, and yet still I can see you as a person worthy of a name. You overestimate your own innocence, he says quietly, his features harden. You are not without blame. You betrayed your friends at the drop of a hat. You stabbed me in the arm. You tortured me with the Cruciatus guns. You pushed me into every last one of those things. I say, my voice shaking incredulously. You can't blame me for what I've done. The blame lies with you and you alone. For every action there is a reaction. You above all people should know that. There's a long, horrible silence before he makes his reply. Whatever I have done, you have brought it upon yourself. He says quietly. Yes, I say furiously. You said that once, haven't you? His face blanches, and I know that I need to get things onto safer ground. This is dangerous water we're sailing on, and I need to make things safe again. I'm not going to give him an excuse to hurt me again. Avery said that Jenny was going to return to her parents. I say, almost voicing it as a question. Yes. That is correct, he says, his relief clear in his voice. Why isn't she being kept here? I don't know why I'm asking this. I don't know why I'm asking him this. I don't want her to be kept here, but I just need something to talk about with him to stop things from going too far again. He waves a dismissive hand. We have no need of her. We have Potter's two closest friends under our control, one of them being a Weasley, which buys the loyalty of the entire family. To hold another Weasley under our control would be a complete waste of time and energy. I stare at him for a second, but I keep my mouth shut. I'm not going to put any ideas into his head. I just won't. But he curls up a smile after a moment or two. You were wondering if we had forgotten that she was romantically linked with Potter. You were wondering if they'd forgotten they were romantically. You were wondering if I had forgotten that they were romantically linked to Potter. There's no question in that statement. At all in his statement. I open my mouth and then close it again, not knowing what to say to him. I can't confirm or deny it, because either one of these actions would lead to trouble. He smiles a little wider. I had not forgot, he says quietly. But what use would an ex-girlfriend of Potter's be to us? It is far more useful to keep people he still cares for under our control. He didn't just care for her. He loved her. I burst out, forgetting myself for a moment. Impossible, he says swiftly and dismissively. If he cared so much about her, why would he have let her go? He stops then as he realizes his mistake. And I know what mistake he's made. How could I not? Those words he said to me the night he came after me in the burrow still haunt my dreams. You will never get away from me. I'm damned if I'll give you up. I'll never let you go. I knew from then on that he wouldn't ever. He'll die before he lets me go, despite the fact that he hates me so much that he probably wants me to die every moment of every day. And all because I've done this one thing that's unforgivable to him. I've made him care about a mudblood. I take a deep breath. Sometimes, if you care about someone, you can't afford to be selfish, I say shakily. You do what's best for them, even if it means you miss out yourself. Even if it causes you pain beyond all comprehension. You do the right thing for them. He stares at me without any understanding. It's as if I'm speaking a foreign language, something alien to him in every way. He looks almost confused. I take a deep breath. I need to say this, even though I know what the outcome will be, whatever he says. Will you let me go, Lucius? I don't know why I said that. I really don't. And as his face sets itself hard with rage, I know that I might have just made the biggest mistake of my life, but I don't care. I don't. I beg your pardon, he says, his voice frozen and still. I clench my fist, digging my nails into my skin on the palms in a desperate attempt to steel my nerves. If you really cared for me, you would let me go, I whisper. Will you let me go? Of course I won't, he hisses. How dare you presume to ask such a thing of me? Do you know what the consequences would be if I were to set you free? I swallow hard, trying to dislodge of the fear that threatens to choke me. It would be the end of you, I say quietly. Voldemort would kill you in an instant. He nods. Exactly, he mutters. As if your ridiculous assumption that I care about you. You're pathetic. Do you hear me? He whispers viciously. And although I feel the burn of tears, I draw strength from the fact that I know it all to be a lie. If you were to let me go, I wouldn't leave. I whisper, feeling the tears swell in my eyes, because, God help me, I know I'm telling the truth here. He looks at me for a moment before he takes a very small step forward. He pauses after that step, looking very much as if he's forcing himself to stop, as if he could not dare himself to come closer. "Are you telling me," he murmurs, not taking his eyes away from my face, "that if I offered you your freedom, you would reject the offer? That you would renounce any chance you might have leaving here alive? You might have of leaving here alive?" I nod shakily, hardly able to breathe for fear of what I'm about to say. But it needs to be said. He needs to know. "I wouldn't leave," I whisper, "because I know what would happen to you if I did." And that's all I say. And I know that it's enough. I might have just signed my own death warrant, but it's said now, and there's no going back. He just stares at me, looking as if I've just confirmed his worst fears. "Do not do this, my lord," he whispers. And I start to shake as he takes another step towards me. His face is so contorted with fury that in this moment he looks inhuman, just like his master. "I don't know what you know exactly what I'm talking about!" He walks over to me, banging me against the wall, fury draining every last drop of color from his face. "I will not allow you to bring me to this again!" "But why?" I ask shakily, as I back away from him. "Why not?" "You know why!" he shouts, repeating his words that he said to me once so long ago. "All my life I have dedicated myself to wiping your kind away from this earth. I have killed perhaps hundreds of muggles in my blood. I have torn mothers away from their screaming babies. I have cursed defenseless men in the back." I messed that up. "I have cursed defenseless men in the back." I scramble away from him, positively shaking with terror as he backs me into a wall. "You didn't have to," I say desperately. "You had a choice." He slaps me hard across the face. I cry out and fall to the ground. But he grips me by the wrist, retching me up to face him as he crouches over me. The look of blind rage in his eyes is enough to scare me to death. "I have no choice," he hisses. "And even if I did, I am proud of what I have done. Do you hear me? I will not stop until every last piece of my blood scum has been wiped out. And if I have to kill thousands of muggles, then believe me, I will kill and kill again." I don't know if that was with an English accent. I think I might have lost it a little bit at the end. Oh well. I can't scream in an English accent. I've said that more than once. I shake in his grip. Below it. Staring up into those merciless gray slate eyes, tears streaming down my face, tears of agony, because I know what he is. I know him. And somehow this monster has become a part of me. "And what about me?" I whisper, my voice cracking. "What will you do when Voldemort inevitably orders you to kill me?" He freezes, his face setting hard, but I can see the horror that creeps into those eyes of his. I can see it as clear as day. He abruptly drops my wrist and turns away from me, striding to the other side of the room swiftly, keeping his back to me. I shakily pick myself up off the floor, and for a moment while I stare at him, I know now that we are trapped in this forever. He will be the death of me, one way or another. "My God, what happened to you to make you what you are?" I whisper. A few seconds pass before he turns to me, a hateful sneer on his lips, his eyes somehow purged of the horror they displayed a few moments previously.